Welcome back to Learn with Chris. I'm Chris. Today we're going to continue with the TOEIC, the reading part of the TOEIC test, and I'm going to explain modal verbs. So let's explain first what is a modal verb and how do they work. So if you have a sentence, a normal subject, verb, object sentence, let's say I drink coffee, right? Subject, verb, object. We can add modal verbs to that sentence to add extra meaning or maybe change something. So for example, I will drink coffee. Will is a modal verb. So it changes the sentence to mean that in the future, I have the plan or I have the future intention to drink coffee. I will drink coffee. If we say, I must drink coffee, now it becomes necessary to do it because that's what the modal verb must means. It's a necessity. So it's like I have to drink coffee. Or I should drink coffee. Well, should is advice. So I can, I might, I will, I could, I should. All of these are modal verbs and they're changing the meaning of the sentence. They're adding extra meaning to your normal sentence. So those are modal verbs. There are 14 modal verbs. So I think this is going to be a long video. So I'm going to explain, I'm going to go through all 14 modal verbs. I'm going to tell you what they mean, and I'm going to give you some examples. Now, the complication with modal verbs is there's a lot of crossover. So for example, a lot of them mean possibility. So if something could happen, that's possibility. It might happen, that's possibility. It may happen, that's also possibility. So different modal verbs mean the same thing. And then any one modal verb, for example, if we take the word can, I can swim, that's like the ability to do something, but can I go home early? That would be the permission to do something. So any one modal verb can have multiple different meanings, and that same meaning, for example, permission, different modal verbs can have the same meaning. So can I go home early or may I go home early? They both mean permission. So there's a lot of crossover with the modal verbs, which means it's a little bit hard sometimes to remember them. And also with the possibility one, people will ask, okay, so if it might rain, it may rain, it can rain, it could rain, which one is more possible? What's the highest certainty and the lowest certainty? And I think that's pretty vague, but I would probably put can at the top and might at the bottom for possibility. It might rain is probably the smallest possibility. It can rain is the highest possibility. And then maybe may and could might be in the middle there. But I don't think it's very clear how certain it is with these words. Anyway, let's start with can. And I'm going to put the picture up on the screen here. So as you can see, can is for three different meanings: the ability, permission, possibility, and permission. So we can see some examples here. She can swim very well. The ability to do something. It can rain later this afternoon. That's the possibility that something can happen. And the last one is permission. Can I leave early today? So again, can has three different meanings for as a modal verb. May. You see here that it has two different meanings, permission and possibility. May I ask you a question? That's permission. It's quite polite to ask for permission in that way. And for possibility, we may go to the park later, but we need to wait for the rain to stop. So it's possible that we will go to the park, but we have to wait for the rain to stop. Okay, the next modal verb, could. Could is the past tense of can, So it's past ability. It's also polite requests, and it's another possibility modal verb. He could run fast when he was younger. So that's the So if we look at I can run fast and I could run fast, can means now. It's the ability to do something now. And could is the ability to do something in the past. If you could do something and you still can, you have to kind of add a little bit of extra information. So for example, I would say I could speak Korean language because I cannot do it anymore because that's in the past. I lived in Korea 20 years ago. I could speak Korean language, but I've forgotten it because skills can be forgotten. So the ability to speak a language, for me, I don't speak Korean anymore. I have forgotten. So it's correct to say I could speak Korean language. But for Thai language, I still can speak Thai language. So I'm not going to say I could speak Thai language like 5 years ago because I still can. So it's better to say I can speak Thai language because the ability is still there. Now, if you want to add both of them, you could say something like, I could run fast 5 years ago and I still can. So you have to add another more information to tell the person that you can still do it. If you can't do it anymore, then you just say, I could do it, and then finish the sentence, right? Okay, so could is also a polite request. Could you help me carry this bag? You're asking somebody for help. So that's a polite request. And look at the sky, it could rain later, so bring an umbrella. So possible it will rain. The next one, might. Might is only possibility. She might come to the party tonight. But as I mentioned earlier, might is probably the lowest certainty of possibility. So might, I don't know exactly, but it might be 20% or 30% chance that she will go to the party, right? So could or may or can are more certain than might. So might, we would say, is the smallest chance of this thing happening. Okay, the next modal verb, must. This is for obligations, strong necessity, and deduction. So let's explain this. So you must wear a seatbelt in the car. That is an obligation. It is a rule. It is a law. You have to do it, right? So obligation is what you have to do. I must finish this report before the deadline tomorrow. That is, it's a strong necessity. So it's rather important, right? If something's very important, you say, I must do this. It's very important. And the last one is a deduction. So let's explain this. See that new guy over there? He must be the new manager. So the deduction means you're looking at the situation and you're coming up with an explanation for something. So we're at the company, we see a new man working, and we're like, who's that? I don't know who that is, but we need a new manager, or we just got a new manager, so he must be the new manager. It's a deduction. You don't know for sure, but you're using you're observing the environment and you're thinking about the situation, and you come up with an answer to the situation using must. That's called deduction. You may or may not be true, or it may or may not be correct, right? Maybe he's not the new manager, but obviously you would go find out and you would go ask. Yeah. Okay, so next one. Shall. Shall is future intention in British English only, offers and suggestions. So let's look at this. I shall return later. Future intention for British English. American English, I speak American English. We don't use shall for this reason. Instead, we would say, I will return later. That's what the American English would say. But the British might say, I shall return later. To be honest, it sounds a little bit weird to me. But that's because I didn't grow up in England. And from the American English point of view, some British English sounds a bit let's say, old-fashioned, which is reasonable, I think, because it is. It's older than American English, of course, because that's where English comes from. So the American English wouldn't say that, but the British do. It's hot in here. Shall I open the window? You're offering to open the window. And shall we go see a movie at the cinema? That is a suggestion. You're making a suggestion to do something. Shall we do this? Okay, the next one. Should. Advice, expectations, and obligations. So, you look sick. You should see a doctor. That's advice. You're giving advice to the person what they should do. It's 9 o'clock. The train should arrive soon. This is an expectation because, of course, you look at the schedule. The train is supposed to come at 9 o'clock. So you're expecting the train to come soon. So it should arrive soon. And obligations is what you should do, right? So the students should do their homework. That's an obligation. Okay. Next one, will. Will for future intention and for promises. So I will call you tomorrow. That's my plan. I will call you tomorrow. That is a future intention. And don't worry, I will help you finish the project. That's a promise. I promise to help you, right? I will do this to help you. So will is for promises and future intentions. Next one, would. Here we have a lot. Polite requests, offers, hypothetical situations, and past habits. So I need to explain all of this. Polite request. Would you pass the salt, please? Would you do something? You're asking for something and it's a polite ask. It's a polite request. Offering. Would you like some tea? That's you're offering somebody tea. Would you? Now there's other ways to offer, of course, but this is one of them. Next one, hypothetical situation. If I were rich, I would buy a new house. Now, hypothetical means not real. It's not a real situation, but it could be a real situation, maybe in the future. So hypothetical is, we can think about things that are not now or not possible or not real, but we can imagine if they were real. If I were rich, I'm not rich, but if I were, what would I do, right? So we're using would for these hypothetical situations. It's actually, technically, it's the third conditional structure, and I will make another video about the conditional, zero conditional, first, second, and third conditional sentences, because that's another part of the TOEIC reading. So I'll make another video about that. Okay, and the last one is a past habit. When we were kids, we would play outside all day. What did we do when we were kids? What were our habits? What were our actions when we were kids? We would do this or that, which means we don't do it now because we're not kids. Well, maybe you still like to play outdoors, but that's not what we're talking about. What was your past habit? So it'd be would. Okay. The next one, ought to, is basically the same as should, so it's advice. You ought to study hard to improve your English, or you should study hard to improve your English. One difference is in questions. You might say, should I do something? Ought I do something? So we're a little bit different when we make a question from should and ought. But it ought to, you ought to do something, and should, so it's two words, ought to. Might have is a past possibility. That means it's possible something happened in the past. That's what we mean by past possibility. So, Bob is late for work. He might have missed his bus. So, we're trying to come up with the reason why Bob is late for work. It's possible he missed his bus. Now, we don't know because Bob is not here, but we're trying to, it's almost not exactly a deduction, but kind of like a deduction, where we're thinking about the reason why he's late for work, and we say he might have missed his bus. It's possible that he missed the bus, basically. And it's also past, of course, because if he caught the bus, he would be here now. should have. It's past advice, again, giving people advice about what they should have done. And it implies some regret, which is a very interesting word, regret. You should have called me. So this is what you should have done. You didn't do it, but you should have done it. So regret is like either we do an action or we do not do an action in the past, and now we feel bad about it or we feel guilty about it. So if you, I don't know, if you say something bad to your friend yesterday, and then today you feel bad because you said something to your friend that wasn't nice or polite, you would say something, I should not have said that, right? So, or she might say to you, you should not have said that to me, right? And so that's a regret. You feel regret for the bad things that you have done. And we use it should. I should have done something, or I should not have done something. Because we also have regret for our non-actions. So if there was a situation and you did not do the correct thing, then that's also regret because you didn't do anything. There was no action. There was a correct action you should have taken. I should have done this, but I didn't. I didn't do anything, so you feel regret. So should have is used mostly for that, for regret. Okay, next one. Must have. This is a past deduction which implies certainty. So we have a couple of sentences here to give the context. Do you know where Susan is? I can't find her. So I'm in the office, I'm looking around, I'm looking for Susan. I can't find Susan. So then the other person says, she must have left already to go home. So this is a past deduction. So we look at the situation. We're looking for Susan. We can't find her. She's not in the office. So what is a logical reason why we can't find her? That's the deduction. Well, she must have left already, right? Now, again, we don't know exactly why we can't, because maybe she's in the bathroom and we can't find her, right? But when we say she must have left already, we're reasonably sure that is true, but not 100%. There's an implication of certainty, but not 100% certainty. Because we could be wrong. Maybe she's in the bathroom, right? But we think that that's the situation, right? She must have left already. Okay. And the last one, would have. Hypothetical past situations. So I would have helped you if I had known you needed help. But I didn't know that I did not know that you needed help, so I didn't help you. But that's the hypothetical, right? Hypothetical is not real. If I had known you needed help, I would have helped you. So it's a bit strange, but it's talking about the past, and it's also talking about a situation that did not happen. Okay, so these are the modal verbs, and all 14 of them. So I think that's it for this for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope it was useful. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And I will see you in the next video, which will probably be about conditional sentences. Okay? Have a good day, and bye-bye.